Yeah, and then they came out with the Crystal Skull. God damn it, that
There's another one. See, I only seen that once,
okay.
and so I can't. I don't remember. I do
I
remember the thing everybody says with the nuclear surviving a nuclear bomb in a fridge.
I wish I didn't see that movie. I wish I could erase it. Like,
Growing up in our basement, that exact same fridge, my I guess maybe my grandparents, I don't know if my grandparents' old fridge, we had
mhm.
one of those things. Those were one of the fridges back in the day that were killing kids.
Yeah. Let's play
Because,
hide and seek.
yeah, exactly, because you had the handle that locked
Mhm.
it closed, but when you were inside, there was no handle, and it wasn't magnets back in the day because I guess they didn't
Yeah.
invent the magnet yet.
It was locked. It locked.
It just completely locked.
Mhm.
I remember locking friends in in that fridge that was in our basement because it wasn't working. It was just sitting down there for some
Mhm.
reason. Because my father, I don't know if your father did this. My father never threw a fucking thing out. If
Really?
it was a
Oh,
piece of
boy.
machinery in some way, in other words, it had a motor. He was like, there's parts in there that I can eventually use. So he would just keep the whole fucking thing. Like, why don't you just take like the nuts and bolts and the things that you think you're going to be using? But then what if I throw out the door and I need a door? So
Of
he just
that
had a
exact make
basement
and
full of shit.
model.
Yeah, exactly. No, but here's the thing though. So he wasn't exactly a hoarder. Like he didn't like keep bags of shit or anything, but he would keep the most ridiculous shit. And the funny thing was, I would say he came up with a use for like 40% of it.
Wow.
In other words, to everybody else on the planet, this shit is junk. There's no use. He found a use for about 40% of it.
Well, that
You know
was
what I
back in
mean?
the day. Shit was made to last. Like
Dude,
now, pff, yeah, right.
I think he's seen this on a PBS show, but he once took an old dryer. Uh, there was always old washing machines and dryers around, and I'll tell you a good reason why.
Oh
So
boy.
my father figured out that, and maybe it's because he wasn't a depression era guy, but his parents were, so maybe there's some carryover to that. So he didn't like throwing shit out. Meanwhile, my mother was wasteful as fuck, but which is the way it always goes. But anyway, he figured out that when you see a washer and dryer in the garbage, one of them is good. In other words, somebody, probably the woman, didn't like, or one of the washers and dryers broke. So instead of just getting another washer because it has to match,
Mhm.
you throw them both out and you get two new ones. So he would see two of them there. He's like, one of them's good. So he would pick them both up. But of course, he wouldn't throw the broken one away either because it had parts.
But you know how many
So,
times I guarantee you most of the broken ones probably just like a broken wire that just
yeah, it was,
needs
yeah,
to be
exactly. He
fixed.
fixed them all the time, constantly. I don't think here we never bought a washer and dryer. He never had to spend money on it. When one broke, he just fixed it or found another one. But one, he did this once.
I like how you just found another.
He just, dude, I would get so embarrassed as a kid because back in the day, of course, I'm sure you're aware that uh, TVs had the tubes, the vacuum tubes inside, right?
Mhm.
So part of fixing a broken TV is sometimes just replace it. It would be like replacing a transistor today. You're just replacing the vacuum tube. Well, anyway, so as a kid, I'd be sitting in the passenger seat, and of course, it would always be in a neighborhood where
Oh
I would
boy.
always see a friend or
Oh
somebody that would know
no.
me. My father would see a TV in the garbage, park the fucking car, and then get out, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat, sinking down so nobody sees me as he breaks the fucking thing open and starts taking the vacuum tubes out. He was that guy, but he fixed our TVs
Mhm.
on a kid. Like that dude could fix anything. Wasn't a thing he couldn't fix. He figured it the fuck out. And this is back before the internet. Like I don't know how he gained this knowledge,
And I
but
guarantee you he wouldn't be able to do that shit today. Now,
probably not. Yeah,
because the way things are,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
Jesus
Shit's
Christ.
shit's just made to break.
Not
But
even
he
that, it's just everything's like everything back then was mechanical, even though it was
yes,
electronics, but it was more
yes,
mechanical. This shit is all
yeah,
circuits and transistors, unless you wanna get the soldering iron out and replacing,
yes,
like, little
yeah, yeah,
tiny bits, good luck.
Yeah,
and finding which
and once the
part.
chip is fried, it's fried. It's
Yeah,
not like this shit. But he once took, and he got this, I think, off a PBS show. I remember the PBS show too. He once took an old dryer, or actually, it was two old dryers. Put
like,
two,
washer, like drying your clothes or
yeah,
hair
washer dryer. So it was
dryer?
electric dryer. Took two dryers, put them together, wrapped it with duct tape to keep them together because duct tape worked for everything. And
Okay.
took a screwdriver and ice pick, poked a bunch of holes in the top,
Mhm.
and then put like you know those boards that you hang up in like your garage or your basement that you put the hooks on to hang
Uh-huh.
shit on. I
Yeah.
forget what they're called. It has all the holes in it. He put that
Pegboards?
shit on top of it, like painted it, and created a fucking hockey table. What do you call air hockey table for me and my friends? It
Really?
yeah, he was that kind of dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, here it only lasted. He did it for like fun, and we had fun with it for like a day, and then it just everything went in the garbage.
Oh.
But because it wasn't practical, you had to plug both dryers in and run them. So you had this air hockey table that was just but it worked. It worked. He used to watch like he would watch the I don't remember the name of the shows. You remember how Tim Allen had Home Improvement, that the show that he had on that show, his Home
Mhm.
Improvement show,
Tool
whatever
Time.
those shows were back in the day. My father always constantly had them on and getting tips like that. There was a PBS show called the Red. I think it was called the Red Green Show. It was like a comedy version of that. And that guy, I think he got the air hockey table from that dude. So that guy does the air hockey table thing, and my father's guy, like, I got 15 dryers in the basement. I could do that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, my father could. I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm telling him these stories about my father, and then he was telling me stories about how his father was a con man,
Oh,
and
boy.
basically he was the exact opposite. His father would con other people into doing shit for him. But anyway, uh, but yeah, no, that shit was great. He would always come up with the like he was so mechanically inclined, he would like almost invent shit. You know what I mean? Like I can't even explain. I can't think of anything. Um, I can't think of anything specific right now. But if he needed, if he
Was
was working on something,
was
what?
your father like the guy from Gremlin? The father from
No,
Gremlins?
no, 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 no. He didn't invent like that. But what he would do though is if he needed a specific type of tool to do something, instead of going to buy that tool, he would find a way to make it like there's certain areas he was a mechanic too, so there's certain areas of an engine where if you don't want to take the whole engine apart, you got to get to this one bolt. There's this
Oh.
wrench out there where it curves around and all, and he
Mhm.
he would actually this is one for sure I know he did. uh he would take two wrenches and with the blowtorch just bend them to where they and then weld them together, and he's like, I don't need to buy that shit, I just made one. There's there's something about those old dudes. Like we don't know any of that shit. But those old dudes back in the day, they just like they were the DIY motherfuckers. They didn't buy shit. They didn't, you know
Because
what I
you
mean?
yeah, you had to, man.
Yeah,
Like, back then, you didn't
exactly.
have, like, I mean, most of the cars, like, you would buy like, you would have these kids that would buy a car, and then they would just hot rod it, they don't do
Yeah.
that kinda shit now. Like,
No, yeah.
tune
Yep.
it, they do a lot of
Yep.
tuning, but it's so goddamn expensive,
Yeah.
and back then, parts were so cheap.
Yeah.
You could find, like you said, you would find anything on the side of the road and just pick it up and just, do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, my first car was basically my father, of course, he's not gonna buy me. My father's not buying himself a car, for fuck's sake. So he's not gonna buy me a car at 16 years old. So what he did was when I was around 13, my mom's old car just fucking died. Like the engine was just completely done. But the
Mhm.
exterior and the interior was still pretty good. So he was just like, in about 3 years, this motherfucker's going to want a car. So he just put that thing off to the side. We were the house in the neighborhood with like six different cars out in front of the house, only two of them running. But but anyway, so when I turned 16, me and him went to the junkyard and we found it was a 1980 Grand Prix, and we found a totaled 1980 Grand Prix and just pulled the engine transmission out of it and put it in the new one. By the way, I completely overhauled the 1980 Grand Prix with my father. I couldn't tell you a goddamn thing. My father could not teach for shit.
Oh, he's one of
So I
those.
didn't get any of that.
Hold
Like
the flashlight. Yeah, hold that
Yeah, yeah.
flashlight right.
Yeah, exactly. Hold the flashlight, or it would be like, all right, you see those two bolts over there? Tighten those two bolts. So I go fucking tighten those two bolts. And you see that over there? So basically, I'm just the monkey that's
Mhm.
and he would do all the shit. And then we even painted the thing, but the paint job turned out like shit. That part he didn't know. So the problem was that there was something with the way so the base coat came out okay. If I just left the whole car as like flat gray base paint, it would have looked fucking perfect. The problem was whatever base paint he used didn't mix with whatever fucking lacquer. I don't know what the fuck he used for the black paint. It was a brown car and I wanted it black. Anyway, so we painted it and it looked great. And then you looked at it the next day and it was just all these cracks going through the paint and the paint under it. So it would just all break away. So that now I'm sitting there wet sanding the thing. I remember I'm 16 years old. I'm all happy I'm going to get a car, and I'm wet sanding this the whole car, but nobody told me to use gloves. I had no
Oh,
skin on my fucking
no.
hands by the end of the shit.
Oh, no.
It looked like crap. I was so excited to look like it, but of course it's still a car. You still fucking drive it
But
around.
you still drove it around, right?
Yeah, oh, fuck yeah.
Ah,
Dude, that was my freedom back in the day.
I
I don't need to ask anybody for a ride. Fuck yeah.
you know, you know what my father did
Well,
for my first car? He told me, "Oh, yeah, if you can't afford it, sell it."
what? If you
Oh,
can't
yeah,
afford it,
let me
it
let me tell you this story about
yeah,
this is
go
my
ahead.
dad,
Go
okay?
ahead.
This motherfucker. So he moved to England because he moved to England to live back with his mom because he couldn't fucking
Yeah.
make it in the US or whatever. I don't know. He left. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Sayonara, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I used to work at a pizzeria and I was making like $3 above minimum wage at this pizzeria,
Uh-huh.
which was the only way I could afford this car. And the car was only 4,000. I got him down to 3,500 and I put 1,000 down. So the loan was only 2,500, something like that.
Mhm.
Now this was back in this was like 1997.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I got the car and I needed a $2,500 loan.
Mhm.
Couldn't ask my father because he's in England. I had to ask my uncle. My uncle's a
Mm.
great man. Great, like you say how your
Which
father,
which side?
my aunt's side. She married my mom's sister.
Okay.
She married
I
my
got
uncle. His kids are a bunch of whatevers,
you.
but
Mhm.
the dude is a great man.
Mhm.
That's another story, but irregardless, he co-signed the loan for me. So I got the money, got the car, and like a week, maybe a month later, the pizzeria closed down. And I'm
Ah.
like, shit. Now I was a manager at this pizzeria. So that's why I was making so much more money. Every time I tried getting another job, but everybody's like, oh, minimum wage. I'm like, I have all this experience. I was a minimum wage. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what the
yeah.
hell, man?
Yeah.
So I couldn't. I could take the job, but then I wouldn't be working like so many hours because I was still going to school, and I wouldn't
Mhm.
be able to afford the car if I was working minimum wage. So I
Yeah.
was still looking for a job. So I'm sitting at home playing video games, trying to figure out what the hell to do. And my
Mm.
mom kept saying, "Call your father. Call your father. Call your father." I'm like, "Mom, I'm not calling him. I'm not calling him." Why I'm not calling him is another story.
Mhm.
Real quick. When
Okay.
I used to live in the same state as him, and then he let us move to another state, and I hadn't seen the guy for a year, and I wanted this black New York Yankee jacket. It had a big NY in the back.
Mhm.
So I asked my mom for it. She's like, "Ask your father." I'm like, "Okay." And my father was, when I lived in the same state as him, he used to give me $1 a week for, well, you sometimes would give me he was supposed to, but would only sometimes give me $1 a week for my allowance. So I didn't see
Mhm.
him in a year. So I'm like, oh, I haven't seen him in a year. That's 52 weeks. That's more than enough to get the jacket. The jacket was only for like $40.
Yeah.
So I called him up. I'm like, hey, Dad, can I get, $40 for the jacket? Do you really need the jacket? Is the jacket that important? Only
Mhm.
call me for stuff that you really need. I'm like, okay, Dad. Made me feel like this small. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
knew, never call this guy, never call this
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
motherfucker
yeah.
for
Yeah.
anything. I don't care if I need a kidney. Don't call him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when it came to the car, and I didn't tell my mom this story. I didn't say, she totally forgot to, she didn't even ask me what, you know, your kids ask you for something every day. You're not going to remember, what happened after. So I never told her. She never brought it up. So that's why she kept saying, call your father. You never ask your father for anything. You never ask him for anything. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
why. And I kept it to myself.
Mhm.
So I just ignored her. So what does my mom do? She calls my father.
Yeah.
Your son needs you. You're not a real
Of
man.
course. Yeah,
Where
yeah, yeah,
are
of
you?
course.
I'm like sitting
Uh-huh.
in my room, like, oh my God. And then she comes to, your father wants to speak to you. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
fuck,
yeah.
fuck. So I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, he's
Yeah.
like,
Now you gotta
so,
take the brunt for the
yes.
browbeating he just
Uh,
got.
So, well, he didn't really get nasty with me, but what he
Okay.
did say was, if you can't afford the car, sell it. Well, okay, Dad. Yeah, sure. I'll just, again, this was 1997. I think AOL just came out. Yeah, let me
Mhm.
just go to sellmycar.com.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure they'll give me the exact amount of money I paid for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just sell it. Okay, that's, yeah, he had to have been our age now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your pearls of wisdom to me. Yeah, thank you. I much appreciate it, my dude. Thank you for the,
What kind of
sharing
what
your
kind
life wisdom.
what kind of
Just sold
car?
a car. Oh, it was a 1990 black
Oh, okay.
Mustang, 4-cylinder. It was
Oh, okay.
close. Yeah, it wasn't anything. I mean, it looked good, but it wasn't
I mean,
anything
still, like
special.
1990 is only 6 years old. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, and as if it doesn't get any, I guess he started complaining to my grandmother. Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, piece of shit son. He can't afford his car, blah, 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 blah. So my grandmother calls me up. She's like, I'll give you the money. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks, grandma. That's really gonna help me,
Well,
blah, blah,
once
blah.
again, which side? Grandma on which side?
His mother, because he
Oh.
was living with her at the
Oh,
time in
okay.
England. And because I didn't ask her. I didn't say anything to her.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
had to
yeah.
have brought it up to her complaining, because she was
She
one of those
must have been
dudes
like,
that,
yeah, she
and
must have
she's
been
like,
like, "You piece of shit, take care of your son,"
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
shit. Yeah, yeah,
Well, I don't know, but she called me up. She's like, I'm gonna give you the money. But she's in England, she's not gonna fly over. She's
yeah.
gonna wire it. So, and she had to have been like 70, 80. So she doesn't
Mm.
know how the banking system works and everything. She
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
she can
yeah.
do it. She doesn't
Yeah.
know how. So she's like, give me your account number and I'll wire you the money. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm like, thanks, grandma. Here you go. Here it is. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'll call you when it's all done. You know what this motherfucker does?
God, did he
He
take the
calls me
money?
back.
Oh,
This is
God.
disgusting. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting. You're taking money from your grandmother. It's disgusting.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't ask her for the money. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even bring it up to her.
And how old are you at this point?
I think it was like 20
Oh, okay, so this
something.
is late. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah.
And so on. But I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, Dad, put grandma on the phone. Oh no, this was the main part. You're gonna pay her back. You're gonna pay her back. This is disgusting. Kept telling me how disgusting it was. Like, all
Uh-huh.
right.
Yeah.
So I put grandma on the phone. And I'm like, grandma, don't worry about it. I'll figure him out. No, no, no. You're my grandson. I'm gonna give you the money. I'm like, that my God. Don't listen to him. You do not have to
Mhm.
pay me back. I'm like, luckily, and that helped. That helped big time. Because I was able to like pay off the car, and then I found another job that, paid me just as well as the job at the pizzeria.
Mhm.
But that's the pearls of wisdom I got from my father.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so when I hear, I'm just like, "Oh, you lucky
Well,
motherfucker."
well, my other friend that was telling me about his con man father, he hates that dude. Well, here's the thing I realize that now I don't know if this is true, but I sort of think it's true in some cases. So my father's not alive anymore. When my father was alive, I did nothing but bitch about that dude. It's only since he died that I think about all the good shit. You know what I mean? I kind of don't even think about the bad shit anymore. But back in the day, I did nothing but bitch about him. There was barely a day that went by from the age of like 16 to 18 where I didn't almost get into a fist fight with that dude.
Okay. All right. You want to hear some crazy shit?
Yeah.
You want to hear some really, really whacked out, mind blowing, Joe
No,
Rogan,
I don't
mind
feel like
blowing
it.
shit?
You
Now get ready.
can't.
So, and mind you, I was scrolling through TikTok when this came up. Now I know TikTok is full of twerking dumb broads and
Yeah.
goofy stuff, but you can find some deep knowledge on TikTok where it's just
Mhm.
like, holy shit. So apparently this biologist was stating that, you know, teenagers from the ages of like 13 to
Yeah.
18 or 21
Yep.
hating their parents, like
Yep.
not the parents are stupid, they don't want to hear their parents. That's not a cultural thing, it's not a race thing, it's a human
It's
thing.
a biological thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a biological thing
Mhm.
that, and there's a specific reason behind it.
Yeah.
Back when humans were like tiny tribes,
Mhm.
or it would be just a family, like a mother, father, 6 brothers, 6 sisters, working on a farm. It was just them, and you wouldn't see anybody else for like 6 to 10 miles. It's not like now where you can
Mm.
walk down the street and
Yeah,
meet
yeah, yeah.
how many people.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what deity you believe in. I don't care if you believe in Jesus, Buddha, Allah, the golden
Mhm.
vibrator. None of them, all of them are powerless compared to one deity, Mother Nature.
Yeah.
What Mother Nature says
Mhm.
goes. Now you can break the rules of all these other deities, and you won't see any after effects. You break Mother Nature's rules, you will see effects. And there's one rule that she hates, that she stands by, and if you break it, she gets pissed, and that is incest. So
Mm.
when 13, what happens when you're 13 or 14? You
Yeah, yeah.
mature. Girls start to bleed out their cooch. Dudes start to
Uh-huh.
get, I gotta hump something.
Yeah.
So Mother Nature's like, she biologically, because she hates incest so much, she literally programmed every human. When you turn the age of 13 to 14, you gotta get away from your family. You gotta
Yeah.
get away
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
you have to get, and it goes
Yeah.
from 14 to about
Yep.
maybe 18 to 21.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there like, listen to this guy, like, holy shit. Like
Yeah.
if that shows how shitty our school
Mhm.
system is. I had to learn this from TikTok.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
is this
Well, they
not
don't want
something?
they don't want people knowing that. The bottom line is they don't want those fucking people out in the real world. Do you want a fucking 15-year-old out in the real world with his own apartment doing whatever? No, because I remember what I was like at 15. I'd be fucking terrorizing people. It's just
No, 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 no.
we want those people under their parents' control.
But that's just it. You are trying to, I have to, you're literally
Yes.
programmed. I got to get away from my family. I
Yes.
I don't know why,
Yes.
but I have to, and you didn't want to
Yes.
run away. You
Yeah.
just wanted to be with your friends or other
Yeah.
families
Yeah.
that weren't your family, because
Dude.
that's what you were
Dude, I hear
biologically programmed to do. But here's where
dude.
it gets crazy.
Yeah.
My mom likes to watch all of these police shows where they arrest people, like
Uh-huh.
Nevada, like Las Vegas, and so on.
What is it
And
with chicks and, like, crime and murder drama shit? But
uh,
anyway, go ahead.
but here's the thing, they are constantly arresting prostitutes and
Uh-huh.
strippers,
Yeah.
and they all have the same story. I ran
Yep.
away from home when I was 14,
Yep.
ran away from home when I was 13, ran away from home when I was 15.
Yep.
It's like, if you just teach
Yep.
people this tiny bit of knowledge, they would understand what is going on.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
they are
yeah.
so desperate to just like teach us, oh, side angle side, the
Yeah.
Pythagorean theorem, that they're not, that information is absolutely worthless
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
growing up. But
Yeah.
what I just said, what that biologist said, that is
Mhm.
so
Dude, it makes
instrumental.
perfect sense. That's the age post puberty, which
Yeah.
different people go through different go through it at different state at different times. But post puberty, which for a lot of kids is like 14, 15 years old.
13, 14, 15.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. That's basically nature is saying time to have kids.
Well,
So, I mean,
what the
that's
main thing that she's saying is get away from your family because
Yes.
I am not having incest. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
that's how much
Well,
Mother
okay.
Nature hates incest. That she's telling you, she biologically
Yeah.
programmed us ones and
That's what that
zeros.
teen
Get
angst
away from your
shit.
family. Get
That's what
away
that
from your
teen angst
family.
shit is. Dude, so I had that going for me and a religious mom that was a fucking nut job.
Oh,
Just a fucking nut job. The type of fucking mom. I always compare her to I think we talked about this once before, but I always compared her to the chick from Detroit Rock City, the mom from Detroit Rock City.
I thought
She
you were
was
gonna
that
say
religious
from
cunt
Carrie.
that I had to hide my fucking cassette tapes. I had my
Ooh,
cassette tapes like between the mattress and the box spring. But of course, your mom would find everything because I'm not
mhm.
making my bed. So of course she goes and makes the bed and the fucking. By the way, she got pissed. I had a fucking White Snake tape, the cassette tape. White Snake, for Christ's sake, like one of the most fucking tame
Serious.
fucking.
What,
I
dude?
think it.
Name
What,
one band back in the day that's horrible today. Like, what's the worst band
dude?
out there
Yeah, I
back in
mean,
the day?
Jesus,
And you
I
look at them now, it's like people were afraid of this. Like,
I know,
seriously?
I know.
Like
It
Kiss.
was all
Everybody's like, "Oh my
yes,
god, Kiss! Oh my
yeah, yeah,
god, they
yeah,
paint their
yeah,
faces. They're the devil. They're disgusting." It's like,
dude.
Kiss?
Dude,
They're like the
I had
most tame
I think of
rock band
some
on
of
the
the
planet.
I think of some of the shit that I had back in the day that my mom found. Like there was the Motley Crue and the different, but then I had White Snake. I also had White Lion. You remember White Lion?
Oh yes.
Wait,
Uh,
wait. Oh my god! When I listened to that today, I was like, "Oh my god, what was I doing?" That was like,
oh, shut
oh,
up. That's a good song.
was it? To
Yes.
me, I don't
It's a
know,
good
man.
song. It
I don't
brings
know.
like
I do know my
nostalgia
friends
and
made
shit.
fun of me back in the day for listening to
Really?
fucking White
Dude,
Lion.
listen,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
used to
yeah.
get busted for liking Def Leppard. I'm like, go
Def
fuck yourself.
Leppard. Yeah, I remember. I liked Def Leppard back in the day, but
Oh, because they're not real music. That's not real. Shut the
well,
fuck
there
up.
was that whole thing with they're glam, man.
Yes,
They're glam.
they're not
Yeah,
real music. You got to
yeah,
listen
yeah,
to
yeah,
real music. I'm
yeah.
like, how about you go really suck my
Dude,
nuts? All right.
let me ask you this. Besides like Metallica and some of the heavy metal bands back in the day, who in rock wasn't glam in the fucking 80s? Everybody was glam.
I don't even know who some of the band. I'm like, okay, what's your real music? And they would list some crazy bands. I'm like, who the fuck even is that?
Yeah.
Oh, you just don't know real music. I'm like, all right, fuck off. But yeah,
Yeah.
with the exception of, yeah, I remember the first video Metallica put out. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
Metallica. Like I was expecting like, "Da, da, 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 da."
Well,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, he growled his voice during the because again, I grew up poor,
Mhm.
so I didn't. Unless you played on the radio or on MTV, I didn't know anything about it because I didn't
Mm.
have an older brother to like share cool music with me,
Neither did I. I had
and I
yeah.
didn't have there was no internet back then,
Yeah.
so it was whatever was on the radio, which
Yeah.
was garbage to begin with,
But
and
that
then
was everybody. I
MTV.
don't think anybody had, you know what I mean? Like
Uh, well, how did people know about Metallica or even Led Zeppelin? Like, I
from
didn't know.
friends, I guess.
Was it? Well,
From
old
friends, I guess.
yeah,
But no,
friends
I
and older
Metallica would
brothers.
play Metallica played on the radio all the time.
No,
Yeah, they
until
did.
one
One,
came out,
exactly.
I never heard of them before that, and that
Yeah.
w and Justice for All was their 5th album.
No, I agree with you. The first song I ever heard, first time I heard of Metallica was One.
Mhm.
But that made me like, oh, I got to listen to all their shit.
But,
So,
again, I was poor. I didn't have the money to go buy I was like,
see,
"I'm not buying you that."
we were middle class, but I couldn't. I had to find a way to get that shit myself. My mom wouldn't give me money for that shit.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, dude.
I had to
My mom would talk about how Rod Stewart was a devil worshiper.
Rod Stewart!
I remember specifically.
Jesus!
First of all, my mom used to watch Pat Robertson. Remember fucking Pat Robertson
No.
back in the fucking day?
No, I do not know who
You don't
that
know
is.
who Pat Robertson is?
No, I don't
Well,
know.
anyway, I think she heard that shit from him. Like he would just
Ah,
name bands that are devil worshippers, and one of them was Rod Stewart. Me and my friend. So I met this. We went to for a couple of years. I went to this Christian school. It's so funny today too because my sister graduated from this school and she had problems because it wasn't accredited and shit later on. But anyway,
oh, shit, really?
yeah, but I wasn't there long enough. At a certain point, I left. I left it like I went back to public school in the middle of junior high, and then finish it. I didn't technically graduate. I dropped out. I didn't go to class for the last 2 years of school. So I went all freshman year, I went to class. And then the next 2 years, I just didn't go to class. I would show up enough just so notes didn't go home and shit like that. And I knew the classes where they didn't take attendance. So basically, in order to graduate on time, I would have needed to hit summer school. I would have basically had to do summer school, a full year, and another summer school in order to graduate. So I dropped out before my senior year. But and I just got my GED, which, dude, I got my GED a year before I would have graduated. What's that?
You know that Chris Rock joke? GED, good enough diploma.
Yeah, good enough diploma. Exactly. It's fucking fine. But anyway, I forgot what my point was going to be. What was
now I can go to college. Slow down.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so I went to this Christian school because my mom was a born-again Christian, which is so fucking annoying. Like, she's retarded. They're all retarded. I'm sorry. I grew up under it. I'm a product. I'm a child of this bullshit. So if anybody is listening to this that's offended that they're a Christian, Christianity destroyed my childhood. So anyway, so I met this one kid in that school. Me and him were like best friends. But there was a point where I'm talking to him on the phone, and apparently his mom's listened to the same Pat Robertson bullshit.
Oh,
and that topic came up, and I was like, dude, my mom's talking about how Rod Stewart's the devil or whatever. And he goes, I know, Rod fucking Stewart. This is stupid. Well, it's like, first of all, who's listening to Rod Stewart? And then, of course, the joke is, well, now that I know he's a devil worshiper, I guess.
All right. Well, I mean, they do the same thing. Like, I did a video on this one guy who's like saying Pokemon is the devil. Hail Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. That's always been the thing.
And they do it all. And anytime something becomes popular, because they seem to like know anytime something becomes popular, the Christians or whoever, and I don't even consider them Christians. I think they're like,
they probably think Pokemon
snake oil Christians who are like
Yes.
pretend they're Christians, but they're not really Christians. Like that Joel Osment and that one evil guy who is like, Joel Osteen, Just Austin. I forget his name.
I have no
But
idea.
there are a bunch of those televangelists. They're snake oil Christians. They're bullshit artists.
Yeah, well, they are. But the people in their fucking congregation, like my mom, are just dumb followers. Like, they're just fucking sheep. That's how I think of my mom. I'm sorry. I just
they
can't
have that charisma. They people like, oh,
yeah.
awesome.
So the people, because dude, let's face it, those are the people that are funding his bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They're the one, like, he's making millions off of them. So believe me when I tell you, the people in the audience believe that shit. They're giving over their forehead. I guarantee, dude, I don't know how my father thought about this stuff. Like, he just kind of got sucked into this shit too. But I guarantee my father's like, you want to write a check to fucking who? Like, this is a dude. This is a dude that's fucking saving washers and dryers in the basement in case his breaks. And his wife is writing checks to Pat Robertson's. Is that Pat Robertson's 700 Club or whatever the fuck it was? That had to, like, I never got to talk to him about this shit later in life. That had to fuck with him.
God damn it. Now I can't find the COVID-19 song. Fucking goddamn it.
Anyway. I don't know.
Oh, here it is.
No.
Ken Copeland.
I guess my point. Dude, my mom I've heard that name come out of my mom's mouth.
Ken Copeland. Yeah. Dude, that dude looks hold on. Wait, you gonna play it or
I just shared it. You have to play it.
Oh, it shared it. All right, never mind. I thought it was, I guess I left my screen on. All right.
Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord.
This is the guy trying to fight COVID-19, and they made a song out of it.
COVID-19.
It's a banger too.
Yeah.
God.
That blowing thing, that was just fucking.
From the state of Washington to the
Oh my God.
Texas and the tip of Florida. Today,
Whoever made this song is a genius.
burn this thing. This virus universe hates heat. You just burn this thing. Burn! Burn! I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn!
COVID-19.
Dude, I'm trying to find this other dude. So,
the wind of God. Dude, that smile, man.
You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. Burn this thing. COVID-19.
Oh my God.
it's just because I'm trying to find, dude. I wish I could find this stuff. Benny Hinn was another one. My mom. We actually went to these fucking what they call fucking ministries or whatever the fuck. Hang on.
Yeah, I like who looks at this guy and says, "This looks like a good dude. I'm gonna send him money so we can spread the word."
All right, we're just gonna leave this shit muted. I'm hoping that. Hang on. Okay. Hang on. I don't. Okay. Here's the thing. As a child, okay, we'll remove you. I was brought to these things. In other words, little me is in here somewhere, looking around, going, "What the fuck are we doing here?" We went to one in Philly. The only thing I remember about that was that I had a cheesesteak, and I was so happy because oh my God, that fucking cheesesteak was amazing. But you see these people laying on the fucking floor.
Yeah, I've seen some of these.
This is called falling down in the spirit. And whenever this dude in the white right here, his name is Benny Hinn. Whenever he like flaps his coat, he'll take his coat off and wave it at them, and they'll fall down in the spirit, writhe on the floor.
I've seen these clips.
And I've got look at that. It's like those fucking what are they called? The no touch masters, the kung fu guy that don't even that's what this shit is.
I mean, Steven Seagal.
Well, Steven Seagal actually touched people.
Oh, dude, have you seen some of his moves where he like lightly falls and the person flips over the air? It's like,
look at it. Look at what was that? It was that dude decided he didn't have enough attention. Look at me. Up back down on the floor. Dude, I remember sitting, and you got to realize I'm a kid, right? So I'm thinking they have to know. I guess this is fucking real. Like why would it be? Why would my fucking mom tell me this is real if it's not fucking real? And then of course you remember Santa Claus from back in the day. Dude, look at this shit. When I look at this stuff today, I'm like, oh my fucking God.
And here's what I've gathered from this.
Yeah.
This is why the 1% gets away with what they can. The 1% is looking at this and going, we can steal.
Dude, that fucking look at that lady.
All their money.
Yeah, look at that lady in her Sunday best rolling around on the floor.
And why is nobody in the crowd going, "What is this?"
Dude, they're all
what is this?
Okay, I wish I wonder if he does it in here. There's a part where he takes his jacket off, swings it around his head so that the Holy Spirit goes into the crowd, and the whole first fucking 10 rows falls. I shit you not.
I believe it completely. I've seen a lot of these videos.
I was so
spasming out. You know, I understand crowd mentality. Like when you go to Slipknot concert, when everybody's bouncing around, you can't help it. No, I get that, but I know it's a Slipknot concert. When I walk out leave the concert, I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. You know, you leave it at the concert.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. This is all music and fucking. They figure out what fucking frequency to put the music at to make people into a fucking goofy state or whatever the fuck it is. But I was just glad to be one of the fuck because we weren't rich. We had the fucking nosebleed seats all the way the fuck up here. But all these people, by the way,
you didn't love Jesus enough.
Yeah, exactly. All these people, by the way, were giving this dude fucking millions. That's why they're up fucking front.
I know how it works.
But anyway. Meanwhile, my mom's just writing a check for like $100. My father's like, I worked hard for that fucking $100.
I have friends tell me, I don't want, because he listens to the podcast, and I don't want to say anything
Oh
disparaging
God,
against his wife, but he was telling me stories of what he has to go through, and I'm just like, oh boy.
this kind of shit, religious
No,
shit.
no, it's nothing that,
Yeah. By the way,
nothing like that.
Jim Brewer's wife is she still? I remember Jim Brewer being on Stern talking about his wife turning into a Christian.
Yeah, because she got like stage 19 cancer or something.
Yeah,
She was like literally on death's door.
yeah.
And
But
so she,
he told a story on Howard Stern that that is, first of all, Brewer was always good, but he was really good on Howard Stern. Like he spilled everything. He was talking about his wife and this Christianity bullshit and blah blah blah, and then he was talking about, and then my wife meets Brian Johnson. I take my wife to meet Brian Johnson from ACDC. So they're all sitting at the dinner table, and Brian Johnson tells them, come on, we bring your lassie, and we go. And my wife is praying over her food before she eats, and Brian Johnson is on the other side of my ear going, "This fucking cunt," not talking about her, but this fucking cunt. I took this guy, and whatever he's saying about the whatever. And on his left, his wife is praying over her food.
did you ever hear Brewer's story about hanging with James Hetfield?
I'm not 100% sure. I've heard him tell a couple of things about Hetfield.
He said he was going to I think San Francisco or something.
Yeah.
And he was going to hang out with, I think he was doing a comedy show. And now he lives in, I think, either Jersey or New York. I forget where. And he flew over, and he was going to hang out with Hetfield. And his wife tells him, it's like, oh, our neighbors, Barbara and Scott are going to be there. Why don't you have lunch with them? They're going to be in your hotel. She's like, okay. So as he was there, he's having breakfast with, Barbara and Scott. And Hetfield comes in driving like a 6'9" Charger, like blah, 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 loud as fuck.
Yeah.
So he pulls in, and he's like, Brewer's like, hey, James, and James comes, sits down. It's like, we're just gonna finish breakfast. James like, no problem. So the guy, the Scott, he's just a typical guy. He knows nothing about anything. All right, but he's like, oh, James, so how you doing? He's like, oh, doing good. It's like, having small talk with the guy. And so he sees all the tattoos and everything. And he's like, so what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a musician. And he's like, oh, really? And you make good money? You make good money? He's like, yeah, no, I make good money. I took the whole year. I'm taking a whole year off. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, wow, really? You make that kind of music? He's like, yeah, good music. And so he's like, would I know this band? He's like, you might have heard of them. It's called Metallica.
Oh, yeah. I think I do remember some of this. Yeah.
And this just shows how much of a class act James Hetfield is.
Yeah.
When the wife was like, oh my God, you're the type of band that I tell my son to not listen to. And James, you could have been like, well, fuck you, bitch. Yeah, fuck you and your fucking attitude and your Jesus bullshit.
Yeah.
No, he said calmly, did you ever talk to your son about why he listens to our music? I was like, God damn, man.
Yeah.
Like that is some like 10th level, like evolution way to speak, to like calm and just like, it wasn't an asshole, was like, being like, threw it back at her, but not in such an asshole way kind of thing. Like,
now,
this is the guy's like, obey your master. Like,
now think of that same scenario with Lars instead of James there.
Jesus Christ.
That would have been a completely
different story.
Dude, with all the fucking shit, with the growing up with that fucking going to those ministry things, my mom being, I found a video that describes me my whole life, including today. Okay. This is me. This is how I felt. This is my spirit animal.
Yeah, we should.
This is how I felt my whole life.
Wait, let's end it on this video because we're at an hour 13.
I know. This is how I felt my whole fucking life.
Oh boy. Oh no.
This is everyone else. And this is me. My whole fucking life. This fucking dog is like got one on one side, one on the other. This is how I feel when I come into work in the morning and everybody's saying good morning. This is me right here going, what?
Why am I in this situation?
I just thought that was hilarious. When I seen that, I was like, that's how I fucking feel. Everyone else at me is howling at the fucking moon, and I'm just sitting there going, why? Just fucking why? Ugh.